Hey everybody, it's Justin here, aka Demonic Sweaters. Today I have another product review and demonstration for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at this Donner L1 Essential analog synthesizer. This synth is basically a clone of a Roland SH101, which is a vintage analog synth that Roland made many years ago. It does have a little bit of extra stuff on it that the Roland didn't have. And one of the other things I'm going to be reviewing is this Donner KB32M MIDI controller. Now, what is so cool about this is these actually work amazingly well together because of this. Look, it's basically like a MagSafe for MIDI controllers. It just connects right there to the synth, and you don't have to plug any cables in or anything like that. And once it's together, it basically creates kind of like a full synthesizer. And this is just a really cool idea. I can't believe nobody thought of this before. In addition to that though, it actually sounds really good. Now, if you're not familiar with the SH101 or the L1, the Donner version, they are basically a analog synth, a monophonic analog synth that feature a single oscillator, but the oscillators have different the oscillator rather has different waveforms that it can create. And you have this source mixer right here where you can basically adjust the level between the different sound sources of the oscillator. So you have a square wave, a saw wave, a sine wave, noise, and then a external input. And then there's also a sub wave. So that is really cool if you want to do like bass sounds and things like that. And you can kind of blend these sounds together, but it is just one single oscillator. However, it does have a VCF, voltage controlled filter, and two separate envelope sections, as well as portamento, LFO, and you also have a full step sequencer as well as arpeggiator. So this thing is actually packed full of cool stuff in such a small package. Let's talk about some of the ports and stuff you get on here. We actually have a power input in the back, as well as USB-C connection where you can control it through your DAW. You have 1/8 inch analog MIDI inputs and outputs, as well as a input for the external sound source. There's the main output as well as a sustain pedal input. On the surface here, we have a couple of more patch points that you can play with. There's CV in and out as well as sync in and out. And then there's the external input here as well. And then we also have a headphone output here. The MIDI controller can also be used standalone, which is really cool because it does have a USB output right here, as well as a sustain pedal input and a analog MIDI output. The surface of the controller has two ribbon controllers, one for pitch bend as well as one for modulation. And then you have your octave and transpose buttons right there. And you can also change the MIDI channel from the device. You don't have to go into software or anything like that to change your MIDI channel. And I really like that a lot because a lot of controllers these days require you to go into their app to change the MIDI channel, which is really a pain in the butt because if you're trying to do something in a DAW, where you want to control a different plugin or something on a different channel, you can do that right from the controller itself without having to close your DAW and go into another piece of software to change your MIDI channel. And I really like that. You can also adjust your velocity curves and velocity levels from the keyboard as well. Another thing I'd like to mention is how good the keys feel on this controller. They have a really professional feel. They're not weighted or anything, but they just feel really nice. And they even have like a really nice sound when you push them down. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's very satisfying when you push these keys. And then of course, like I said before, one of the coolest things is the MagSafe type connection where you can just basically slide it right into the Donner L1 and it just works. You don't have to do anything. Even if I have it on, I could still take the controller away and it won't, mess up the synthesizer at all. And you don't need to plug in any power into the controller because it gets that right from the synth. As soon as you do that, it turns on and it's just really cool. I think this is a really awesome design. Now, rather than do like a full-blown tutorial, I figured I would do what I'm best at these kind of videos is actually create something with this. So what I'm gonna do is create an entire song using nothing but this Donner synth as well as my drum. So because since I'm a drummer, I always do something like this where I'll create an entire song with a piece of gear, but then I still play real drums to it, which is what I like to do. Before I do that though, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to my channel and that bell icon if you haven't already, because that really helps me to continue making content like this for you guys if you enjoy it. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and get started with creating something with this amazing little synth. All right, that's the Donner L1 Essential Synth and the KB32M MIDI controller. Both are linked down below if you want to pick them up for yourself. And I totally think that these things are very worth the price. They're both pretty inexpensive. And I think that this thing is really just as good as any of the Behringer clones out there or any of those other analog synths that are being made these days. And I really enjoy this one a lot. It's a lot of fun to play with. As you could hear, there's some crazy sounds that can come out of this. You can make something less insane sounding too if you wanted to. I just was having a lot of fun and just kind of went crazy with it. But you could use it in a more melodic sense and use the sequencer, the step sequencer, and the arpeggiators and all that stuff. It's actually just a really cool little synth. I love the magnetic connection between the synth and the MIDI controller. And yeah, they're just really cool. Thanks to Donner for sending them over to me. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day.